just finished today's yoga class. We well, we went over a lot to start with, but we talked about the first sutra that I'm not going to be able to pronounce at this time, but basically talking about how it just says now yoga begins, and I think that that's really cool because it didn't start in the past. There wasn't a time frame for it to start. It just can always start. You can always begin. And so we ended up going into a vinyasa flow today. And one, let me say that I exercised before this, and I don't know that I'm going to do that very often when I have practice that same day. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm still trying to rebuild my stamina after getting COVID, which is a whole other thing that I might address at some point. But basically, it was a very intensive, very challenging flow that was also very enjoyable. I felt like I was able to push myself and at the same time kind of fall into the cues that I needed to fall into and like be in my body and my breath. There were a few times where I got a little confused based on the cues I was receiving, and I was doing something different than what everyone else was doing, and I have forgotten how that feels because I do so much yoga by myself, following YouTube videos. I haven't been to a class in a while, especially with the pandemic, but what we did was we fell back into a mudra where we connected our fingers and lifted up so that we would be open. The lotus mudra, I believe, is what she was calling it, and continued to remind ourselves that it's okay if you fall out of it. Yoga begins again. Now begin. So I appreciated that. We did talk about the second sutra briefly. Yoga is the cessation of mind stuff. We were talking about that, like I said, briefly because we talked about what asana meant and how traditional yoga, hatha yoga, while still very helpful, may not be the most inclusive and diverse for current people, modern day people, the way that we have our lives. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with hatha yoga or anything like that, but there's just different types, and I love diversity, I love inclusivity, and I appreciate it. So I'm glad to be talking about that during my yoga teacher training because I want to make sure that I'm also inclusive in what I end up doing. We talked about how chanting, doing the Om chants, for example, connects energy from our chakras, and mentioned we'd get more into that, but I thought it was really interesting because music is life for me, and I know for a lot of people, but it's very emotional, and I realize that it's part of the point, but like for me it just fills me a lot of the time, depending on the song, depending on the point of the music, the way that it sounds. It's all very emotional, and I really, really enjoy that. I just feel very, very connected, and I can understand how chanting can do that. So I'm interested to learn more about that, to learn more about the chants. We did go over a chant, which I thought was really, really cool. I didn't pull it up or anything, so I'm not prepared with it, but I might be able to find it really quick while I'm talking. Let's see, what else did we talk about? We did start talking about different poses and kind of the names and what they mean. Looks like we're going to be getting more into that, and that's also exciting. But I don't know, that we went into a lot, but at the same time, really the practice itself was kind of what was all encompassing for me in this. I was very exhausted afterwards, and I think a lot of us were, but that's okay. It felt really good. It felt really good to be connected to my body, and I'm starting to think that the screenshot didn't actually take because I'm not finding it. That's okay. If I come across it later and feel like sharing it, then I'll share it. So we talked about that. We're going to be keeping sutras in our journal to learn about those. And then I have homework. Yay. I mean, I knew that was coming, but sometimes I hear it and just like a part of me is like, I don't want that. I'm taking a short intensive compared to the ones I've looked up around here, which usually last for a year. You usually do one full weekend in a month for the year. I'm going to be doing this in 2 months and a week. So I knew there was going to be a lot of homework. I'm a little stressed out about it because I also got art stuff I want to be doing and commissions that I need to be doing. Plus I have a day job. So it's going to be a challenge, but I'm going to get through it. It's only 2 months and I definitely want this. So, homework. I'm going to be doing some reading. I'm going to be reading Radical Compassion, so I'm excited to talk about that. I need to be setting up my space where I'm going to do an altar, and I've figured out where that's going to be. Unfortunately, I don't have the space for it in here because where I have this is my studio room. This is what I call this. But it's where my computer is, my gaming computer, which is what I'm on right now, my laptop and my Cintiq, my art table, my exercise stuff back here, including my yoga mat, my blocks and everything. Convention stuff over here, plus in my closet that's right there. Plus there's paintings in there. And then like right on this side over here there's books. I don't know why I skipped the books, but they're there. So eventually I might end up moving my books out, which I didn't want to do that in the first place, but it might be better. That way I can set my altar up over there. We'll see. I might be moving some stuff around. I saw a cat throw up. There is none. That's good. But yeah, so I need to set up an altar. I got a space for it. And I need to put my intention for my yoga class in the altar, which I forgot to talk about last night, so I'll talk about that in a second. But I'm also going to be memorizing the classic sun salutation with my body and the English words for it. I'm going to try to learn the Sanskrit words, but that's not required currently. And then I'm going to read about breathing lessons and the history of yoga, as well as the rest of my required reading that I still haven't finished. So it is going to be a very busy week for me. And I think that's just not going to stop for a while. So my intention for yoga class, I don't know why I keep opening this book. I didn't put it in this book. I put it in this book. My intention for joining this training, this yoga teacher training, and the physical object that I initially chose for my altar, like why does that remind me of that intention? So my physical object is going to be a cuddle clone stuffed animal of my cat Jasper that I had to put down a few years ago. And there's a lot that goes into that, and there's going to be more on my altar that I think is going to help me out. But I want to reconnect with who I am and my body after years of grief and abuse and fear that I have lived through. I want to find peace in my body. I want to move and enjoy what physicality I can and what I can accomplish with my own body. I want to learn to help others in the ways of yoga, in the ways that yoga has benefited and helped me, I should say. And I want to find a way to live in selfless service, because what I currently do very pointless. So I am looking for growth and I am looking for change, and a lot of that is very scary for me because I've lived a very stagnant, unchanging life, a very safe life that is what I thought I was supposed to be living, which means I wasn't living for me or living for who I am. And I hope that I can change that and also exemplify for normal people that it's possible and it's okay to get there and it's okay to struggle and it's okay to do it the best you can. As long as you're happy with the results, and I feel like as long as you're happy with the results and that you're kind and compassionate and that what you do isn't harming others, that you're living and living other beings, then I think that's the best that we can do. The ultimate energy in the world to me is love. I think we can do all things in love and we can be compassionate. And that's what I would like to live in and help others identify for themselves in their own way. And so what I'm putting on my altar, Jasper, I do also have his ashes, but he kind of has his own altar, so I'm going to put the cuddle clone on there and not mess with my little altar of that. He is going to remind me all of this. He was my soulmate and a part of me. If you end up I have a very small YouTube channel. I don't expect a lot of views, anything much to come of this, but I do have a video that I created of some ink drawings that I put together to some music that kind of was my experience in losing him. And it crippled me for a while because he was so important to my life. He was my fur baby, my son, my soulmate, my best friend, my everything. I have other cats, and I know they love and understand me, but there was just a different connection there. He knew me before my relationship, my 11-year relationship that was abuse and manipulation and gaslighting. He knew me when I was a teenager and had problems even before that. He knew a lot, and I don't necessarily want to go back to the time before that, but I do want to find the parts of me that I had before this relationship and all the trauma that I've gone through there, find my authentic self, if you will, the inner child that we all kind of ignore and hide away and hurt and never embrace and are not kind to, the mean things we say to ourselves. And I would like to move forward. I want to choose to make a change, and in the words of one of my favorite Steven Universe songs, happily ever after never ends. As long as we can make a change, right? So that's what I'm working towards. It was an amazing class. I'm very, very tired. I'm also already kind of ready for a nap. That might be what I do instead of painting. I don't know. But I'm going to go get some sun. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And I will check back in later. I have one more class tomorrow. I may not do a video after that one. We'll see. And go out into the world with kindness.